pumped today for the episode on Rethink Real Estate for you guys to hear this one. Cody May is the CEO and president of Sheridan St, but also he runs a podcast with one of our previous guests on the podcast as well, Vikram. He's in the Sharran circle that we get to mingle with and get to shoot with in the entrepreneurial space. The ideas that Cody brings to this podcast from a perspective of running teams, also your online media side of things, which he runs with Sheridan St, the data side of the business for the future of real estate as well. But then we talk a little bit about health and fitness on that journey also and how that bleeds into business. This is a really great episode from a perspective of where real estate is going into the future, some real core focal areas that you can focus on in order to build teams and to build your business a little bit further as well. Hopefully you enjoy. Thanks for joining us. Welcome to Rethink Real Estate. My name is Ben Brady, and this is a real estate podcast aimed to deliver sales strategies, marketing tips, and business insights from industry experts and myself to build a listing-focused business for the future. Let's get into it. Cody, welcome to Rethink Real Estate.
Man, pumped to be here.
Well, pumped to have you because this is one of those intertwined, weird sort of connected relationships in the sense that I know Sharran's put me in touch with you. You introduced me to Vic, who, by the way, everyone has probably listened to Vic's episode, who got super weird, but awesome. There's just this real estate community of people that, sort of just know each other by default. And I feel that we're kind of just in that.
100%. Like, it's like everyone is a degree of separated by just one degree. Like, whenever I say, oh, Sharran, it's like, I always love talking to people that know Sharran because you always know you're talking to a good person just based on the ethos that he exudes and just the life motto that he lives by. But man, super pumped to chat today.
So let's talk about Sharran and let's talk about your relationship with him quickly because I actually don't know this and I'm hyper curious on this. That I met Sharran just by virtue of just connecting with other people, and then him and I sort of resonated based on just our character types, and he wanted to sort of take a bit of a mentor role and all of the different stuff and wanted to learn a little bit more about auction. How did you get caught up with him?
So I don't have a real estate background. I got into the real estate industry out of necessity, like when we started our agency. But I met Sharran in 2020 during the pandemic in a mastermind that we were a part of. So we were both in Taki Moore's boardroom program, where essentially he was helping, he helps, businesses that are doing 7 figures try to go to 8. And I met Sharran, and Sharran, like I was lost. I was like, I don't know where to go. We're working with a bunch of different businesses. Sharran's like, hey, if you're going to go all in on this real estate thing, I know a bunch of people in the real estate industry, and kind of almost became a mentor to me, but became just a really good friend where we spent a lot of time together. Text, we were playing in the same circles, even though he's light years ahead of what I've been able to create in regards to exits and just knowledge. And I think the relationship early on, because we were investing so much money monthly into this mastermind that there was this mutual level of respect that was immediately created, where he saw me as somebody that was understood the power of consistently reinvesting back in their business. And we just got connected. He was kind of the boardroom moderator. And there was a group of probably, I would say 7 to 15 entrepreneurs and business owners, and in this hub. So it's boardroom with Taki Moore's boardroom. It was you had different businesses doing different things, mainly business coaches, but there was the business coaches had other businesses. So got to learn a lot from a bunch of different people in that world. And Sharran and I just created a good relationship. We've just always stayed connected, and he's just been a big fan of what we've done and has helped us get to where we are today. And we just, he's the guy that will call me, it's funny, me and Vic were having this conversation, and he'll FaceTime me out of the blue. He's like, hey, how do I set this thing up? He called me the other day about some Zapier thing. He's like, I have a question for you, but and I do the exact opposite for him. I'm like, hey, I have this big business issue. How do I solve it? So we just became really good friends, and I just have had the opportunity to learn some of my largest lessons in business from him. So, one recently being boxes, not people. like just consistently learning how to put language to lessons. So he's become a good friend.
Language to lessons is certainly one of his absolute gifts. Like it is
Yeah.
unbelievable how he can take something from a conceptual basis and be able to
Yeah.
I heard somebody say this on stage the other day. They're like, I talk dumb shit, so let me just go through dumb shit. Okay. Like
Yeah.
it was like in perspective to a financial situation. And I was like, oh yeah, please. I'm in the dumb shit category.
Yeah.
so
Well,
so
and that's why I love being around like, entrepreneurs that are ahead of me, like, people that are 10 steps ahead of me, 10 people that are 20 steps ahead of me, because like it puts me in a totally different like worldview, and it allows me to think about things differently. So yeah, no, I'm a huge fan of masterminds. I'm a huge fan, and I would have never met Sharran had I not spent that money to be in that mastermind. So I feel
the
very fortunate.
reinvestment. The
The
reinvestment side of
reinvestment's
it, yeah,
huge.
it's massive, and
Yeah.
and it feels like not many people do it, and it feels like it's looked upon like, no, I'll do it if it's like less than $1,000, where
Yeah.
you're like actually spending some serious money to go to those programs. The caliber of what you get out of them is just unbelievable. I've got like a
100%.
little bit of an understanding. I want to get a bit of an understanding for the audience around what you're doing at the moment, Cody, because I've been aware of what you're doing for quite some time, and I want to sort of get the like the lead generation side of what you do. I wanted to like the virtual assistant element of what you're doing as well. Like all
Yeah.
of those like integrations from a tech perspective. I'm absolutely fascinated with that. And I think our audience would be as well. Can you give us an understanding of what you're currently doing, what you have done from the real estate
Yeah.
space side of things?
Yeah, we like I've played in so many sandboxes, like so many niches, and like my big thing here, I would say like over the last call it 2 years has been really three big things. We call it the three machines. So we help you fill the funnel. So what we do essentially is like Facebook, Google, TikTok ads to essentially create a strategy that allows you to get in front of the right people at the right time. We have the lifetime nurture, where it's kind of like we take a lot of Sharran's IP. Fortunately, because I've created a friendship with Sharran, where he's given us a lot of his like post appointment nurture, deal of the week, market update, all that stuff that he's created that he talks a lot about. We've implemented that for our agents. And then the third element of our business, like you said, is our call center, actually in Medellin, Colombia, Bogota, Colombia, and that's actually where I currently reside. We essentially create conversations. So to put it in like simple terms, it's like if you have a database, we help you set appointments. If you don't have a database, we help you build that database, and then we help you set appointments. There's been multiple iterations of the business. I feel like we've really started to come into our zone of genius. I just launched a mastermind that helps real estate agents and business owners create their own ads, run profitable ads. We just rolled that out recently as well. That was kind of like more of a passion project. Like when like Sharran's like, you love doing all these things. Like, why don't you start a mastermind? I'm like, oh, I've been wanting to do something like this, but like literally I had an onboarding with one of our new members today, and I'm like, oh man, I am in my zone of genius, copywriting, helping people create their strategies, helping people set up their ads. That's what I love doing. I'm a behind the scenes kind of guy. Even though I create a bunch of content, I like being behind the scenes. I like doing the setup. I like coming up with the strategy, and that's kind of like what we've kind of done, where we have like the plug and play thing with Sheridan St, but now we have the mastermind as well that like allows us to do more of a done with you thing. So
Yeah.
we're kind of playing in multiple sandboxes in the real estate space.
It's unbelievable though. Like it's. I had a conversation with one of our best teams that we work with yesterday, and it was so funny to see them just absolutely staggered at a comment that I made. Is that they have consistently done between $1.5 million and $2 million in fees over the last several years, and they've got one individual database. They've got 500 people on that database that they know incredibly well. Like I mean, the best kept database of 500 people ever.
100%.
And
Yeah.
I said to them though, I'm like, okay, great. So what is the plan for your business? And they're like, oh, we want to double. I'm like, great. So what is your plan in order to grow the data element of your business and meet more people and actually bring those in from the nurture perspective and, that data capture? And they looked at me like with a blank look on their face. And I'm like, well, guys, you didn't think that you'd take the 500 people and double the business with that same 500 people. Like, don't get me wrong, is that, like, again, and Cody, you might have better numbers around this stuff because you know it way better than what I do, but I would take that 500 people, and if it was a normal database, you'd probably expect somewhere between 40 and 50 deals, regardless of whether they're referrals or whatever it may be, out of that database if it's nurtured correctly. If it's an unbelievable, like, return on investment, maybe 15%, maybe a little bit higher. But realistically, is that if they're going to double, they need to have a program where they're meeting more people, or they're bringing those people into the nurture program as whatever leads, and then bringing them all the way through. And they looked at me like, well, how do we do that? It's like, oh my God, this is the part of the business where I think that you're creating the future of real estate, really.
And I appreciate that. And, like, to steal something that, Sharran and I have worked really hard on. We worked on this kind of like, trying to explain during the pandemic. Like, he worked a lot on our messaging together. It's like, when you think about the business and you think about real estate, or you think just a business in general, there really are three core fundamentals towards building a business. There's your now business, which is your activity-based business, your door knocking, your cold calling, your open houses. Like, that's how you generate business right now. You get in front of people, you have conversations. Fundamentally, all conversion happens in conversation. Then there's your referral business. But, like, people do referrals so weird. They're like, because no one wakes up in the morning saying, hey, I'm going to refer Ben, like, I should refer Ben some more business today. It's like, no, like, true referral business, in my view, is strategic partnerships. Like, how can I get in front of more lenders? How can I get in front of more accountants? How can I get in front of more businesses in my local community and be the ambassador for my brand? But then, like you mentioned, there's the pipeline business. And it's like, how do we build our email list? How do we get in front of more people? How do we nurture people that we potentially don't know and take them through a series of emails or a series of phone calls or a series of video messages that allow us to build the trust factor, not the like and know, the trust factor? Because people make this mistake to think that people buy from people they know, they like, they trust. And sure, for the most part, but it's like, people buy from people they trust that will get them the desired result they're looking for. So it's like, that's really, at the end of the day, what we do. And we do that through our content. We do that through our education. We do that through the conversations we have. And it's like, true pipeline businesses, like, for example, to your point, I was literally having a conversation with a team the other day that they have 23,000 leads sitting in their database. They're adding 250 leads every single month with 4 agents. I'm like, you and no ISAs. And I said to them, I'm like, can I give you a different perspective? They're like, yeah, absolutely. I'm like, shut off your ads and just work your database.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, you're adding 250 leads every single month, but no one's servicing the leads that you're generating. Like, focus on, like, some teams get it, and then they're like, let's build a massive database, but then they never nurture the database and they never have conversations with people. It's like, Sharran says this all the time, like, you're 10 times more likely to get the client if you just meet with them in person. Like, try to sit down with them, sell them on the process of buying or selling real estate. And then whether they buy in 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, they're not going to forget the conversation and the value you provided belly to belly, face to face. Because all these agents say to me on a consistent basis, Cody, if I could just get in front of more people belly to belly, face to face, I would have so much more business. And then you give them that opportunity and they fumble the bag.
Yeah, they don't really want it.
And they don't really want it. But if you say you want it, like, we have a client, Mike, who just has absolutely wanted it in the last, 6-7 months of working with us, has, like, transacted on about $5,000-6,000 in ad spends, transacted over $100,000 in GCI. But he's like, every single transfer you send me, I'm going to use Sharran's script. I'm going to answer the phone, and I'm going to book an in-person meeting. I'm going to educate them. And even if they're not the people that are going to buy, I'm going to ask them, do they know anyone else that is looking to buy, sell, or invest in real estate? And he's taken that and he's just absolutely crushed it in the Ottawa market. But, like, back to your point of, like, database, like, even, like, I say to clients all the time, like, what is your plan to, take it to 1,000? And then if you're so good with 500 and your business coming from 500, just take it to 1,000 by the end of the year. And then you should be set up for the next, like,
forever.
Let's call it, like, forever.
Like, again, like,
that should double your business.
Yeah, it has to get to a point, like, again, what is your goal? It's like, well, my goal is to get to $4 million GCI with 1,000 properties, like, in the California marketplace that they're in on the coastal California. Like, oh my God, like people talk about, real estate is not a passive business from a perspective of, you've got to constantly do the work. You could turn 1,000 people, if you do it right, into a really passive business where it takes very little effort.
So I was having a conversation the other day with somebody that I think this is beautiful. 600 leads in the database. So this is a fundamental belief I've started to have through talking with Vic, talking to Sharran. Um, Buying is aspirational, selling is operational.
Hmm.
And I was having this conversation with Vic the other day. And I said to him, like, why do so many agents approach sellers that they don't know are distressed and don't know are in foreclosure with like a seller script? Like, hey, are you looking to sell within the next 6 to 12 months? And I was actually having this conversation with a client, the new client the other day. I'm like, have you ever thought about approaching them with like a buyer script? Because they're like, if they're not distressed and they're not in foreclosure and they're not like, they're thinking about where the heck am I going?
Hmm.
Like, so, and he's like, and the client's like, I've never thought of that. I'm like, if fundamentally we believe that unless they're in foreclosure or unless they're a distressed property, that they're thinking about where they're going, what is the easier conversation to have? Me saying, hey, are you looking to sell within the next 6 to 12 months? Is that going to get my foot in the door? Or should I approach them with like an offer that allows them for me to at least open up the door to have a conversation about, hey, where are you going in the future? Let's talk about the aspiration of buying. And then, we can just, twinkle in on the back end to say, hey, like, like you mentioned you have the home at 123 Banana Street. Like, let me get you an updated like valuation and like, or let's just even one better. Maybe it's not an updated valuation. Maybe it's like, hey, Sharran's game plan frame. Has anyone taken the time to walk you through the top 3 things you need to consider in order to win in the market when you are ready to buy or sell? Well, no one's done that for me. Okay, like why don't we meet up for a cup of coffee, and rather than going to the home, we just sit down and we chat about and we create a game plan to help you get the home you want with the price you want with the terms you want, while also maximizing the value of your current property to make sure that you get the offer you want. So it's like then we do a buy sell. It's like, why don't we approach homeowners that we don't know are distressed with that? I think we'd have better conversations.
Yeah, no question about that. No question about that. The quality of the conversation would be so much better. So give me an understanding though. Like, you get to see a vast array of different people in different perspectives of real estate. Like,
Yeah.
what do you think the future looks like for real estate? Shit question. I know it's a shit
Oh, it's a good
question.
question.
Yeah. But for like it's a very vague question. It's kind of like, well, where do you think the market's going? It's a horror. I hate that question. But I guess that like it's like, but what do you think is in store for the future of real estate? You're on the data-driven element side of it, which I honestly believe is the future. Okay, from a focus standpoint, where do you think the future of this is all going with everything that's going on?
Yeah, I love this, and I hope that I'm right, so I could clip this in 10 years and be like, "Hey, I told you so." But I think that the people that in real estate that understand, like you understand that this podcast, for example, is a tool that will live forever. That understand that content is king, and time on brand is everything. Meaning time on brand. Like if I get somebody to watch 35% of an hour video or 50% of an hour video, they've spent more time on brand. I think that time on brand is going to matter. I think that AI and, like not the typical like AI, I think people that understand how to operate AI and how to use it well and will rise to the top, because I think that, something recently I've learned from Sharran is boxes, not people, where it's like, what do you need to do? Like, what are you make an offer to the marketplace, like what do you actually need systems wise in order to fulfill that offer, in order to fulfill the client experience and deliver on what you promise? And it's not necessarily more people, it's better process, it's better it's giving the client an understanding of what it actually takes in order to buy or sell a home. I think that information is super easy to find, but the people that can take complex ideas and complex information and digest it into easily understandable nuggets that actually provide the end consumer value are the people that are going to win. And I think that while tech will play a role in our ability to communicate with the end consumer, I think people are still going to want to be able to meet face to face with somebody. I think we've even coming out of the pandemic, I think that we've now shifted and realized that we do value human to human touch. Like when I came out of the pandemic, the first thing I said is like, I am tired of these Zoom calls. I want to get face to face in a room with someone. I want to go back to live events. And the coaching industry is a perfect example of this, that people will pay $20,000 in order to go to an event in person because, again, I have a fundamental belief that live events change lives. So people will go to that. I think that there's an element of like our ability to go deep with a few amount of people will and we can do that with tech, and we can do that with, tech, and we can also do that with content.
Mm-hmm.
To really go deep with our prospects I'm not just talking your sphere. I'm talking about everyone you come in contact with. The reason that I really believe, and I've really tried to dissect how the hell Sharran manages to have depth of relationship with so many people.
Yeah,
because that's an art form.
It's
the
nuts.
people that can figure out how to do that at scale are the people that are going to win, because they're going to leverage AI in order to go deep with a lot of people.
Yeah, so
that's
so
what
true.
I think is the future of real estate. The people that understand the core fundamentals of marketing, the core fundamentals of copywriting, the core fundamentals of building relationship. It's going to be the depth first, and then it's going to be the width after, is what I think is the future of real estate.
That's, it's funny to look at it from that perspective, because there's so many people that I've asked that question to on this podcast that have just said, oh, no, it's just going to be the same. And I think that's naive. Mm-hmm. If anything, it's just naive. But I guess that the thing that I'd be interested from your perspective also is that let's say you had to go into real estate and you had to become an agent within a particular marketplace. One, how do you choose your marketplace that you go into real estate with? And two, what are the things that you would do in order to build a real estate business as quickly as possible?
Yeah, this is a great question. I've been chatting with Vikram a lot about this, because we've been like exploring, should we open up a team? Should we, Vic, you've already done it. You already have experience.
I could see that. I could see that itch. I could see that itch with him yesterday when I was on the podcast with him.
Yeah, and I think that Vic right now is kind of Vic and I are at a point in our businesses where we're like, okay, there's multiple directions to go, but for me, what I would personally do, based on I built a local business. That's how I got started in the agency world. I built a video production business. Mm-hmm. I would go to every single network. If I was brand new in a market, I would do a few things. Number one, I would do open houses. I would do open houses. Open houses, in my opinion, are the fastest way to a paycheck. Totally. If I needed money tomorrow, I would do open house Monday. Open house Friday, Saturday. I would try to do as many open houses as I possibly could. That'd be the first thing I would do. I would join my local chamber. I would go to all the business networking events I could possibly go to. I would make sure that I would make myself a celebrity locally. Mm-hmm. I want everyone to know my name. I want to be like a local celebrity, in my local area. I want people to know my name. And how do I do that? In the beginning, I do that belly to belly. That's the quickest way, in my opinion, to a paycheck. So if I needed to start a team, if I wanted to implant a team, that's a totally different conversation about how do I get to as many people that actively need to make a move right now. So in the marketplace right now, where I think of that, why a lot of people have struggled, and I've had so many conversations with agents in their local market, they're like, man, my business is just completely dried up. It's because they just don't know enough people who are moving right now, people that are actively relocating, people that are getting a divorce, which sucks. But, again, how do you know that? You build the people that are getting divorces are going to the people that they trust in their local, the realtor that is the trusted advisor in their market. I would create a crap ton of content.
Yep.
Locally. As I'm thinking about different markets, I would look for local media that wouldn't cost me anything. If I could be on the radio, for example, I would try to do that. I would try to exchange as much value as I possibly could to local vendors so that I could serve the marketplace. Strategic partnerships would be a focus, but I would bucket my strategies into activity business, into strategic partnership business, and into pipeline business. If I was a brand new agent starting out, like pipeline business doesn't even matter to me right now.
Right.
Running ads, like until I'm doing consistent 1 to 2 deals a month, I'm not even thinking about running ads.
Yep.
I say this to our agents all the time. If you're not doing 1 deal a month, like stop running ads. It's stupid. Like you need to get a baseline of like consistent business through activity, so you can fund your ability to try to drive business through paid advertising, because you're going to lose money on paid advertising. So I always say to clients, unless you're doing 1 to 2 deals a month and you want to go to 3 to 4, there's a bunch of different fundamentals that go into it. I've seen under the hood of a ton of different real estate teams. Recently, we started working with Matt McKenzie and Jordan Terrell's team. I really like what they've done with their ISA team and how they've trained their ISA team. We're trying to help them scale their outbound. So they do have 5 ISAs. I've seen under the hood of a lot of large real estate teams.
Right.
I see what they do really well, and I see what they don't do so well. So like the team conversation is totally different than an agent
So
conversation.
can we just go there for a second? I just want to go there for a quick second though, because I'm again, granted, I'm happy to lean into the discomfort that I come from a real estate background where teams don't mean anything. Like at the end of the day, the value proposition of keeping somebody on an even lower split than they already were there, like the churn factor of a team is why people don't typically build them. How, like, I can see with what you offer people from the data, from the, from all of the online presence that then you can help them do once they get to a certain level, is that I can see how you can create a value proposition for people to be able to recruit to that team. But most of the time, people that want to build a team aren't doing anywhere near the amount of business that they need to in order to keep the team members or to actually attract the team members. So talk me 100%. Through a team structure that you've seen really work.
Yeah. So Jordan Terrell's team is really working, and I'll just walk you through his team structure because he has a lead manager, and they're transacting and they're constantly tweaking. And so I'm going to walk you through what I would consider a good team structure, because I've seen them all. Number one, I think where team leaders fail, because I've spoken to far too many of them, is they keep giving leads and they keep giving contacts to people that aren't performing.
Right.
If you're going to run a team, you need to run it like a sales team. If you're like, so we've interviewed Chris Spiker, for example. The Spiker group is, he runs it like an operation. They have Zillow Flex. It's profitable for them. They have database marketing, and they do a bunch of different things. They do a bunch of other things. If your conversion rate is below a certain amount, you're dropped out of a Zillow Flex. You need to treat your business like a business. If I have, and I've done this before, and like we've recently scaled down our sales team because I had salespeople that were closing 30%. I had salespeople that are closing 10%. And I've made the mistake as well, where it's like you hold on to a salesperson too long, you end up bleeding
just because
money.
You don't want to have to train others or whatever the deal is. Yeah.
Whatever the deal is, whatever the psychology is, like you want to run a profitable team. Number one, I've seen teams that do, I literally spoke to a team lead that has on a 65-35 split with his agents. You can't do it. It's not profitable. You need to do 50-50 split. It's not profitable. A 65-35 split, you're providing leads. It's not profitable.
Yeah.
Just run your own business. You're losing money. So that's one element to it. I think that if you're going to do it
so interesting. That's so interesting to hear you say, man, because like at the end of the day, like we come from the world of like, with all due respect to Sharran's model, like you're basically working there for free, like it's, you know what I mean? Like it's so interesting for you to say that. Like there's such a separation between the bigger corporations and the splits that ultimately are there versus the splits that you need to run in order to run a profitable business. It just, anyway.
Yeah, but we're in an industry, and like, again, like I come from an outsider, but like, I'm an insider because like a Sharran and Vic and everyone, and I've worked with tons, like hundreds of agents, and I've seen like what a good business run is look like, and it's like I always say, like no amount of marketing can fix a broken business. Like your sales and your business is broken. Like it's like you're pouring gasoline into a leaky engine. It's like you're not going to fix it. Like the business structure is broken. That's why it comes back to boxes, not people. When I look at like how good businesses run, like I look at the traction model, and I think everyone should read the book Traction by Gino Wickman. Like you need an operator, like you need a COO, or you need to simplify the operation. One of the two things has to happen. Like from a operator standpoint, like if I was looking at a really good team structure, it's like you have one person who's the visionary, you have one person who's the integrator, and then either that integrator needs to wear multiple hats, which should, potentially could happen. I've seen like the top teams I see, like we've interviewed some top operators that you don't even know that they are even a part of that person's team.
Yep.
And then you get under the hood, like we interview Sari Rowell's, operator. I'm like, oh, okay, I understand why their team operates at such a high level now. She is an operator.
Right.
So it's like the operators working on the back end, where it's like a lot of team leads fail because they try to hire another them. It's
Right.
like, well, you don't need another them. You need somebody that's going to challenge you. You need somebody that's going to watch the finances. You need somebody that's going to watch, is this lead source profitable? And then to build an ISA team, you need a lead manager. You need a dedicated ISA on your team, or an office manager. Like I've seen so many structures of things that work and things that don't work. Jordan Terrell's team really fascinates me because of the fact that they have 5 ISAs and they have key performing indicators
So for those
those
that
5
don't know what an
ISAs.
ISA is, what is an
Yeah,
ISA?
an inside sales agent, somebody
Okay.
that like is dedicated towards just doing outbound or
Outbound.
taking inbound
Yep.
to essentially set an appointment for the agent.
Got it.
Yeah,
So that's really the glue that you're seeing in a lot of teams, that their ISA model is reflective of what their level of success is. Is that right?
yeah. I would yes and no.
Okay.
Yes is in the sense of like there's one of two options you have. You either force your agents to do dialing,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of team leads won't do.
But
And
also,
they're
it's also the other model of all of this, Cody, is that, we have a very, our model, we have a very call focused model in a lot of our businesses to actually
yeah.
recruit agents in based on the value proposition that they need to make phone calls themselves. It's near fucking impossible.
And like and I get it, and I understand, and that's why I say like try to recruit outside, like try to go to different industries, try to go to the high ticket industry.
Yep.
Like realtor, if a realtor doesn't, like, my fundamental belief is this: if you don't have an ISA and your realtor refuses to call, fire them.
Yeah.
Because or don't run ads. You need to hold, like, the top teams that I see that are successful, the Dean Aguilers, the Chris Spikers, like they just have, like, it's business. Like this isn't like isn't a family. This is a sports team.
Yep.
And people get traded, and it just is what it is.
So with ISAs, can you have an ISA? Let's say that you look at the buckets that ultimately you have within your business that you need to constantly communicate with. Do you have to have a designated ISA for each one of those? Let's say you're running a big enough business, or can you have ISAs that flip flop between communication with current clients that are on the database that know who you are and what you do, and then cold ISAs, or what do you need to have in those structures?
So like where we come in is we come in and we work age leads. So like with Jordan Terrell's team, we're just working their age leads, like of the pool of leads that haven't been touched and the
Yep.
ISAs aren't touching. Like if you have 5 ISAs, like you gotta know the metrics, you gotta know the math. Like for them, they there's 4 metrics that they track with their ISA team. It's like amount of calls made, amount of contacts, amount of conversations, and number of appointments. Those are their ISA's metrics, and they need to set 2 quality appointments a day, and they have defined what a quality appointment is. A quality appointment is somebody with the motivation, somebody with the means to essentially make a move. That's a
Right.
quality appointment for them. So that's a mixture of, like, it just depends on how many leads you have in the database. If you got 23,000 and you don't have an ISA and you're still running ads, like I don't understand it. I don't get it. Shut off the ads. Like, you don't need the ads. What you need to do is you need to hire somebody to physically go through the database that you currently have and try to pick up people. Cause like I do the math for them. I'm like, okay, let's call 2,000 leads in your database. Let's call a 2% conversion. That's 40 conversations out of 2,000 leads. Let's say, 50% go to an in-person meeting out of those 2,000 leads. 50%. So that's 20 in-person meetings. Let's say you have a 50% show up rate on those in-person meetings. That's 10 in-person meetings for 2,000 leads. If you give a sniper 10 in-person meetings, like that's like, that could be 5-6 deals
Yeah,
out of
for
2,000
sure.
leads. So, and that's why I always say, like, there's tons of agencies out there that are offering guarantees, and we've been down that road before. I don't offer anything because I'm like, I've seen agents that are amazing, and you've seen this on agents that can sell anything, and you have agents that couldn't sell anything if their
Anything.
life depended on it. So there becomes that conversation of like, if the team lead is going to operate a business, they need to run it like a business.
No, it's a really strong point. It's such a deep conversation to go down and try and work through and figure out. But it's really like, so let's talk about, you mentioned a book called Traction, right? Let's talk about some of the things that somebody could educate themselves on, because I think they've got to find their own style. Like, don't get me wrong, there's a level of copying they need to do, but if they're not that type of person, to build a team or to understand how the lead flow works and to understand all of those different individual metrics of how a lead comes in and the certain person that then takes that and then passes it to the next person and so on and so forth. Like, what are some of the things, like from an educational perspective, what are some of the resources that you've used to educate yourself, apart from trial and error, into this space from the very beginning?
Well, like, so before I get there, like, I think, like, and I love what you said about, like, the copy and paste thing, because the copy and paste thing can either be super detrimental, and I've chatted about this the other day. You either be super detrimental in the sense that you copy and paste and then you build something and you're like, I hate this, and you burn it to the ground. Uh, I've been there,
Yeah.
and recently I was there because I'm like, I followed everyone's opinion on what a business should look like, but I think there's something to be said about lifestyle business, and I think there's something to be said about getting clear on what the hell you want first prior to going out and trying to build a business that will eventually make you happy. And I don't think we talk about this enough, because like we're in an industry that everyone's like, $1 million in GCI, we hit, but like no one's talking about how much money they actually made. Like
No.
we're in an ego-based business. That's fine. That's
But
cool.
it's also, I spoke about this with Vic like the other day, is that I said to him, is that it's amazing, the agents between $1 million and $2 million in GCI, it's kind of like they're trapped, Cody. They're trapped because they've built a lifestyle based on making that amount of money, but ultimately that said and done is that it's kind of not enough money after paying all the expenses and paying tax to actually build any wealth, that you've got to keep on that hamster wheel. They think that they need to constantly be growing it.
There's the in the marketing world, we call it bro scaling, and it's like, and I think I have got caught up into the bro scaling. Oh, just grow bigger, just grow bigger. It's like, I don't even enjoy this anymore. Like, I don't enjoy the headache of, and it's like, I think before you read these books, before you figure out, like, you need to figure out what the hell you want first. Like, do I actually want to build a, like, and me and Sharran have had so many conversations about complexity creates deficits, simplicity scales. And it's like, the more you can create a simple, repeatable process, and you say, these are the restrictions that I put inside my business. Like, even before you go out and try to create, 6-figure, 7-figure businesses, like, these are the restrictions that I have. I only work 9 to 5, or I only work 10 to 6, or I only work 11 to 7. Then try to create a business around that. Or I never work weekends. Like, I never actually take, like, one of my constraints is I never take sales calls on weekends. I never do podcasts on Saturday. That's just like, for me, like Vic said that one day, like, oh, we should just do a full day of podcasts. I don't do that. No, I don't do that. No.
It sounds like a very Vic thing to do.
Yeah. Let's just land. Let's do 7 podcasts a Saturday. I'm like, that sounds horrific. No. And I like, but once you have clarity, then it's like, it's like, once you have, like, write down, like, what you want and get really clear. Cause like, your beliefs map your thoughts map your actions. It's like, what do you actually believe? And at the core of what you believe, then you can actually go out there. It's like, I believe I'm worthy of 35 to 60K plus months every single month. That's a belief I have. So I'm going to attract that. It's the attract energy versus the chase energy. And once you have clarity, Sharran says to me all the time, clarity is the mother of mastery. Once you have clarity, then it's like, okay, Traction by Gino Wickman. It's like, okay, maybe I need an integrator. Maybe I don't. Maybe I can do this with a VA. A lot of people don't know this, but Sharran runs runs everything off of 2 VAs. Like, he runs it off of a virtual assistant. Like his prior, before he became the president of Real, his coaching masterminds were ran with 1 VA.
Yep.
Like, it's possible,
Of course.
but we think we need a ton of people. Box is not people, and that's a lesson I'm learning right now. It's a hard one to learn.
It's so applicable to the real estate space as well, because that same team that I'm talking to you about with their 500 database, they were like, oh, well, we need an operations manager. I'm like, great. Have you got the role in mind? Like, have you mapped out the exact process and role? Like, no, we were hoping the person would do that. No. That's the biggest problem, is they think that they can employ their way to process. You've got to have the process before you employ the person, because the moment that person leaves is the moment that then all process falls away.
Yeah. And for some people that can be good, because it gives them an opportunity to restructure and actually build because like a lot of times people, when they do that, the person ends up leaving anyways. And then you end up having to rebuild the process. And sometimes the process becomes better, but it's like Traction by Gino Wickman, like the idea of like an integrator doesn't have to be a $150,000 employee. It can be, you've created a process, a duplicated process, that you hired a $5 an hour VA in Latin America, but like, unless they know what to do, they're not going to do it. And that's where you have to look yourself in the mirror and say, like, how do I operate the best as an entrepreneur? If I can create something that's simple and scalable, then like I can have super high profit margins and, have the life I want. And like, for example, when I started the mastermind, one of the biggest things I said to Sharran is like, I want to create a super, super high profitable mastermind that delivers a crazy amount of value. And I want to do it on 4 hours a month. That's all I want to spend, 4 hours a month. That's what I do. And he's like, okay, you have your restrictions now. Now you can get clear on what you want. Okay, cool. I have now, like, that feels good. I know what I want.
Yeah.
Traction by Gino Wickman was a book that, gave me the clarity I needed. Vivid Vision by Cameron Herold was a book that allowed me to like literally just take everything that was in my head and put it onto paper in like a framework. I found that was a really good book that helped me. And I'm constantly updating our vivid vision of like, where are we headed? And I've done some coaching with other people that has allowed me to get clear on like, Sharran has a spiritual money coach that I did a session with. Like, I've done a couple of sessions with her, and she's kind of woo woo and so, like, and it's cool. And, it's like a little bit out of my comfort zone, but like, she's really helped me understand that, like, Sharran has this belief that money is in karmic balance. And like, I believe that as well. And we did this like money clearing, or the spiritual money clearing together. And I found out that it's called a non-specific manifester, meaning like specific target goals actually like push me away from those target goals. I need a range. And as soon as I started working with her and started saying like, okay, like here's my range. It's like the range, I just hit the range. Like, it's like, it was really, it sounds super woo woo. I understand. I'm not I guess
but it's totally no, but it's obviously it's structure to what everybody says from the visualization perspective.
Yeah, totally.
So what? So does she have anything that people could look up or resource?
Yeah, her name is Jen Cudmore. Sharran connected me with her while I've done some stuff with her. I forget the name of her company. I just know her as Jen Cudmore. Okay. I have her on.
It sounds good. It sounds like she's the right type of person for you, Cody, because like you're too, like after the session, you're too scared to even look up whether she's real or not real.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, did I speak to a real person? Yeah. But yeah, man, like it's like there's so many books out there. It's just like for me, the big one. I think the biggest book that had the largest impact was Brendon Burchard's High Performance Habits. Okay. That's a professional, like just a personal growth development book that helped me understand that, like, because I always felt like I was just like I'm just an ordinary guy. Like, I come from a corporate background. I always felt like I was built for more, but I never knew how to get there. And then Brendan's like book, like scientifically helped me understand how to just like build habits that create the life I have today. And that was a pivotal conference that I went to, and a pivotal book that I read that set me on a wild goose chase of like, how do I do this thing well? So I would say that those are the three books that like really have made a massive impact in my life and in my business.
Another big life impact that Vic and I were talking about, you came up in our conversation the other day because I've known you for a longer period of time from the peripherals of things, is that you've gone on a pretty big health journey over the last little while. Him and I were getting weird with all of that biohack stuff, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
guess that give us like, because again, I think that there's part of this that at the end of the day, the way that we feel is the way that we perform.
yeah.
And in essence is that talk to us about your journey from a health perspective if you're comfortable doing so.
Yeah, 100% comfortable. I've been very vulnerable online about this. When I started, so I left my corporate career in 2018, and I moved and I started my agency, and I knew nothing about business. I just like took a risk on myself, and I just got consumed with business. Like I'm like, make the next dollar, the next thing, and I just like. I think I was like 170 pounds when I left my corporate career, and I ballooned over the course of like 4 years. I got like my highest was like 225, and I just like I'm like I had just like this weird like I look back at it and I'm like, why did I even think that? Like I like it's like you have like you have false sense of reality where it's like I had an and or mentality where I'm like I can either have I can either be super fit or I can have a super successful business.
Mm.
And I had this and or mindset. And I had it the same thing with like relationships. I'm like, yeah, you can either have a really successful business or I can have a really healthy relationship. I can have and that's actually what I believed. And my beliefs dictated the things that I did. And I met Vic a couple of years ago, and like he was super healthy. He was crazy into health, and um, I was always off and on. Like like I would lose weight, I would gain weight, I would lose weight, I would gain weight, and I just kind of came across a crossroads last year in December, and I was just like, I just kind of had an epiphany that I'm like, I got to change something. If I don't change something, then like, I'm just like, I'm not going to be happy. And I don't know what it was and why I did it. Like there were some friends that said, hey, we're going to do the 75 hard. And I'm like, I've actually tried the 75 hard before and I failed. And I think I tried it 2, 3 times and I failed. And at the beginning of the year, I was setting intention for myself. I'm like, what do I want 2023 to look like? And some things have come to fruition, other things haven't. But health was one of those things that I did. And I like, and I think now it's starting to bleed into business, but it took like literally 9, 10 months in order for it to really bleed into business. But at the beginning of the year, I think I was like close to 215 pounds. And like over the course of doing the 75 hard, um, from like January to middle of March to April, when I finished 75 hard, I had like gone from like 215, 220 down to like 180 pounds. I lost close to
Wow.
40 pounds, like, and I just started getting the discipline and the routine and like like, it's like it bled into business as well, where I'm like, I had more energy. I was able to do more things. I was able to have a larger impact that I wanted to have. I was able to get more mental clarity. And since then, like, it's like, again, I started to fluctuate in weight again because I got off 75 hard. I was good for like 60 days after 75 hard. I fluctuated in weight. Like I started going back to some of my old habits, if you could say. And in September, me and Vic were like, let's do 75 hard again. But this time let's just make it a lifestyle. And like, I'm like, I like that idea. Cause like with Vic, like, like we just made a lifestyle. So we started again. And like Vic, like literally within the first 10 days of doing it, he's like, bro, like you lost weight in your face. You look like, like it's crazy. Like just 10, 12 days of like consistent routine of like 2 workouts a day. And just like, even like this month, like this is going to be one of our best months in business, profit and revenue wise, because of just the discipline that 75 hard has created. And yeah, I just have more discipline. Like I needed routine because I thrive in routine.
Yep.
And yeah, it's just giving me the routine where it's like I have to plan out my days of like, when am I going to work out? When am I going to do my first day workout? When am I going to do my second workout? today's a long day. I haven't even done my first workout. So after this, I got to go do my first workout. And then I have our paid ads mastermind. Then I'm going to do my second workout, you know, strict keto diet. Like it,
So talk to people about if they're thinking like, well, hang on a second,
yeah,
75 hard, what discipline do we have to have? Give us an idea of your days, how they look, and how
yeah,
you plan for those days. Because I'm really glad that you said this. I haven't had anybody ever say that to me, which I'm very much the same. Is that I go through bouts of really fit, like really fit, to then nothing at all, and it all depends on where we're at from a business perspective,
yep,
what we have going on, and all of that type of stuff. So I'm really happy that you've said that because I can
yeah.
obviously, but I can definitely resonate with that. But talk us through the structure because there's a contradiction in all of this that I see in the back of your mind, and might be something that I'm looking. You're traveling as well on top of all of this.
Yep, totally. So yeah, I'm traveling. Like, again, like when I travel, I stay somewhere a month at a time. So
Mhm.
like I'm like able to kind of get back into routine. But yeah, the travel days are freaking hard. Like I on like I'm going to be in the airport all day next week because I fly to LA. That's going to be like that. Like those days are the hardest. When you're planning it, it's easy, but like those are the days that it mentally messes with you. Um, when I'm thinking about 75 hard, or I'm thinking about like even the structure and the routine of like, like trying to create a consistent flow and a consistent structure. Like I think my big thing that I think about is like there were things that when I did it in the spring that just became natural habits. Like for example, like when I stopped doing 75 hard, I still go to the gym. I still went to the gym 5-6 times a week. That wasn't the issue. It was the food.
Mm.
Like
Yep.
that's why I started to balloon up again. And I started like I'm like, oh my god, like like I'm working, and then I got frustrated because I'm like I'm working out every day. Like I was working out every day, but I'm like I'm gaining weight. This is crazy. So I got, it put me back into a food routine rhythm. So I'm like, okay, I'm back like eating healthy again. I have but the, if I could wrap it all up into a bow and tell you what it really at the end of the day is it's accountability.
Right.
Accountability to someone more than just yourself. And it's
So
like
yeah, no, I was just going to ask, how do
we
people
talk about the
start it?
why. Yeah.
How did you start it? Like the first time that you really did this properly, how did you keep yourself further accountable?
Other people.
Okay.
Other people. The answer is always other people.
Okay.
Other people that are also committed to change. So I had a really good friend in LA who ran an agency. She is a crusher. She works with really large brands. And we said like, we're going to hold each other accountable. Everyone else in the group didn't finish.
Hmm.
There was like 10 of us in the group. Only 2 of us finished. This is the first round of 75 hard. It's like, if you can just find one person that will tell you you're being an asshole, tell you you're like, for Vic, like, um, um, truthfully, like, and I've said this before, like Vic literally said to like when in the, you know, Vic said to me something that still runs in the back of my head. I don't know why this runs in the back, but even when I don't want to go to the gym, he would say to me, "Stop being a bitch, go to the gym." And
Have you seen that TikTok guy? Have you seen that TikTok
yeah,
dude?
like the coffee,
Yeah.
the spinning, go to the gym.
Yeah, go to the fucking gym.
And I had it in the back of my head. I'm like, stop being a bitch, go to the gym. And I'm like, oh, okay, like I don't want to go to the gym. Okay, fine. And I pick myself up and I go to the gym. But like like for me, like even though Vic in the first round didn't do it with me, now he's doing it with me. In the first round, he's of 75 hard. I had that in the back of my head. I'm like, I gotta lose. I gotta get healthy again. And and the second round was like not like this second round is like I know what this will do for my business.
Yeah.
That's like that's the thing that I know how productive I was in Q1
Yep.
versus Q2 and Q3. I'm like I'm gonna slay Q4 because I have the discipline. And everyone I've interviewed that have built successful businesses, it's been discipline. It's been the discipline. It's like it's why people from the military when they come out of the military and they go into real estate, it's why they crush it, because they have discipline. They'll do the tough shit when no one else wants to do it. They will get the email out. They will do the listing presentation when no one else wants to do it. And it's just like, for me, it's like, it's the discipline, but discipline in the context of constraints is even better.
Well, mate, congratulations on your journey so far and the
Thanks,
realization. I think that,
Appreciate
that's awesome. It's one of the toughest things in the world to do. And it inspires me. There's no question about it. But man, I think that, as we round out this, Cody, how do people get in touch with you? Because I think that you and Vic do a podcast that I absolutely love. I was a guest on it. And I think that, you and Vic are great chemistry on that. I think it's awesome. But the other part about it is that you could deconstruct these people that are doing so well in real estate that again, I think that it's very, very valuable from a practicality perspective. So let's talk about the podcast quickly, and then let's talk about how they can just get in touch with you in general.
Yeah. And like you were on our podcast and we had a freaking blast, because I like absolutely love your approach to business, and just you bring a whole different perspective towards the industry that I think so many agents need to dive into. And this podcast is great and I love it. And thanks for the opportunity. Our podcast is called the Our Agent Podcast. We interview real estate team leads and real estate agents that are doing really cool things in their market. We interviewed with them and you about your wins, losses, lessons, stories, help them win in their local market today with tactics and tips. And sometimes Vikram takes us on really weird journeys talking about psychedelics and stuff, and that's just is Vikram. So it's cool. I take us tactical. Vikram takes us he kind of grounds us and sometimes takes us to the clouds. So it's fun. But best place to reach me, honestly, just Instagram. My handle is @CodMay, CODMAY. That's where I kind of hang out the most. That's where I personally respond to DMs. And that's kind of the best place to reach me.
Awesome. Well, we'll make sure that we link all of that stuff. We appreciate you being open and honest with everything that you've got, because there's loads of value there. But thanks for joining us on Rethink Real Estate, Cody.
Thanks for having me.
So about 75% of our audience hasn't liked, followed, or subscribed to our podcast. It would mean the world to us, and it would help this podcast more than you know to expand our reach if you were to like, follow, or subscribe on any of the platforms that you're watching or listening on. Thanks again.